Hello and welcome. This video is going to be a review of Vonda McIntyre's, I'm not quite sure how to say that, Dreamsnake, which is the novel that she is most well known for. This is a sci fantasy, and actually the first time I have ever read a sci fantasy before. When I was growing up, I thought it was sci-fi or fantasy and didn't really ever realize that there was a meshing of the two, or that it was possible. And this, I think, is probably the most perfect example of that I could ever hope for. So while this does look like it is one of the books without barcodes, the barcode's actually inside of the cover here, so this does not technically count. Despite the fact that this would have qualified because the original publication of Dreamsnake was in 1978 and barcodes were required on all publications April 1978 that were available to public. So this is actually the Dell copy from 1982, so this is the second Dell printing of this. And yeah, so I guess I'm still going to give you guys a little bit of information about both Dreamsnake and Vonda McIntyre. So Dreamsnake, this book is actually a expansion of a novelette that she originally wrote in 1973 called Of Mist, Grass, and Sand, and I'll go into that a little bit more later, but that's actually the first chapter of this book, and kind of made it feel like, when I first started reading this book, like a, you know, bad B movie of the time. And I say that, please don't hate me yet, I actually really love this book. The first chapter feels entirely different to me personally than the rest of the novel. This book, when it came out and in its entirety in 1978, won the Hugo Award, the Lookas Poll Award, as well as the Nebula Award. So this is definitely a well-loved book in the science fiction realm, and for great reasons. So a little bit of background information about Vonda McIntyre before we get really into the review is she was born in 1948, so she is a baby boomer, and sadly passed away on April Fool's Day of 2019 due to her losing her fight with pancreatic cancer. She actually graduated from the University of Washington with a degree in biology, and also did a lot of graduate work in genetics from the University of Washington. And you can see that in this book, which we talk about the science part. Vonda McIntyre also wrote several Star Trek novels, in addition to the novelization versions of, I think, Star Trek 2, 3, and 4, the movies. Not like the new versions, but like the old versions, the old movies, which made me absolutely get more excited about hopefully finding some more works by her. And now to get into the review of Dreamsnake. So when you first start reading this book, you start on chapter 1, as you know, you do every freaking book. But this is, like I stated before, the novella that she published of Mist, Grass, and Sand. And you find out that that is the name of snakes, 3 snakes. And she uses these snakes to heal people. You find out that Snake was given the name Snake. That is a given name, not her initial name. You never find out her initial name. But it is such an honor to be bestowed the name Snake, because healers in this world use snakes to heal people. They are nomadic healers. They go from place to place where they're most needed, and they heal people of all kinds of ailments. What they end up doing is they do some kind of science and use this different snake's poison. They like feed the snake a certain type of chemical, and then the snake in its venom spits out medicine, whatever it is that is ailing the person at the time. And this opens up with Snake treating a little boy named Stavin, and it is at a very far remote desert location where there's almost never any healers. Unfortunately, because it's such a remote desert location with a remote desert tribe, they have a lot of fear of snakes, because out in the desert there are like very deadly pit vipers and, you know, sand vipers and just super poisonous snakes. So they have a healthy fear of snakes in general, but they also don't want their little boy to die. So they have entreated the healer to please heal their son, who ends up having a brain tumor. I think it's a brain tumor. It has a tumor of some kind. I can't remember exactly where it is, but I'm pretty sure it's brain tumor. And So Snake has 3 snakes. She has sand, mist, and grass. So sand is like a really strong venomous like cobra, I'm pretty sure. It's been a while since I actually finished this book. I'm just now getting to it because I've had some life stuff. Grass is the dream snake, which dream snakes are otherworldly snakes that have been gifted to the healer sect to heal people. And dream snakes provide what we could be considered like modern day sedatives or modern day narcotics, where it puts people into like a dreamlike state that provides comfort when they are in severe pain or severely sick. That's how I interpret it. Is instead of giving people, you know, heavy drugs, they're giving them like this snake for comfort. Although I think the dream snake, it doesn't really say if the snake bites the people to give them this, because everything else has to do with biting. But the dream snake, I just is there and is able to give comfort, and it doesn't really state if this dream snake bites their patient to give them that, or if just by being there gives them dreams. That wasn't ever really made clear in the book. Though if you've read the book, you can definitely feel free to correct me in the comments. I'm more than happy to be corrected in that. But grass is the dream snake, and then mist is the medium. So dream snake's to provide comfort when you're sick. Mist is like low-level ailments, middle-level ailments, and sand is like the big mamma jamma. So Snake figures out what is wrong with the little boy, and she's like, okay, well, I have to go prepare Mist to provide the medicine needed for Stavin. And Stavin, the little boy, asks to keep the dream snake with him because, you know, the dream snake is providing him comfort. And so Snake is like, sure, yeah, absolutely. Why would you tell a sick, dying little boy, no, you can't have this one comfort that is making you feel better in life? And so she leaves Grass with the little boy, and while she goes and prepares Mist, it gets the treatment ready for him. Well, in the interim, when she comes back, she finds that his parents, scared and fearful that the snake is going to hurt him, have killed Grass. And so Snake is absolutely devastated because dream snakes are, as you find out, very rare and otherworldly. I was thinking, again, when I'm reading this first chapter, that this is just a fantasy novel. If it reads, the first chapter very much reads like a B movie from the time period of, like, you know, the BC primitive B movies that you see on Mystery Science Theater. That's what it kind of reads like. But that's not what otherworldly means. Otherworldly means it's given to them by aliens. And I didn't really figure that out until like halfway through the book, and it blew my mind. I was like, oh no, they mean aliens. So that's where it was just like, oh, this is completely different than what I thought it was. And my goodness. So once I get through the first chapter, Snake is of course devastated that she loses one of her 3 snakes and the most valuable of her 3 snakes. And she's like, well, now I'm going to have to go back to the healer enclave and try to convince them to give me another one, because I can't heal without a dream snake. Like, you cannot be a healer in this world without a dream snake. And you find out that there's a dream snake shortage because it comes from other worlds, and they haven't figured out how to breed them successfully. Like, they can do it sometimes, and you find out that Snake, the reason why she has a dream snake and is a healer and is given the name Snake is because she was able to actually reproduce 5 dream snakes, one of which she has. So that's part of why she got her name. And so she's going back to try to go back home to hopefully convince them to give her another one if there's another one available, because she's been gone for a while. And again, they have problems reproducing. And on her way back, while she's traveling in the desert, she meets a woman named Meredith. And Meredith is desperately entreating her, please, my partner, Jesse, is severely wounded. They fell from a horse, and we desperately need a healer. And Snake's calling in life is to be a healer. And so they go with Meredith to find Jesse. And I can't really talk more about that without giving a lot of stuff away. I mean, the book is just absolutely amazing. As someone who has a propensity to love reading strong female characters, this book is just astounding. Pronouns aren't really used a whole lot in the book. It makes you kind of like, so I just said Jessie, you know, Jessie is a male and female name. So you don't really know until Snake is describing Jessie, do you find out which gender they are. And in addition to Jessie being partnered to Meredith, there's a third partner as well. So there is a lot of, in this book, there's a lot of polyamory. There is, it's very lovely to read. There's a lot of, not that, you know, I'm not saying that polyamory of itself is, I'm very monogamous, but it's just really nice to read a book where it's seems very equal. Like, everyone has a role to play. There is a point in the book where there is someone that Snake has to heal who is a man in charge, and they are very clearly depicted as a man in charge, and they have to be humbled very quickly in order for Snake to heal them. And that kind of toxic masculinity is counterproductive to the healing process, in addition to like other stuff comes up. I will give as a content warning, there is allusions to and discussion of SA, as well as predatory behavior of children, or predation of children. Is that the right way to say that? I'm trying to say it in a way that YouTube won't get mad at me. So if those are things that will be very triggering to you or very uncomfortable to you, please do not read this book, even though it is very good. Please don't read this book. I will say that the outcome is satisfactory, but it was a very difficult read for that part of the book. It's just very good. Like I said, the first chapter, which was, you know, directly from her novella, like it is literally, the first chapter is just the novella, and then the rest of the book is what develops after that. It's just amazing. Like, I was like, oh, this is going to be a cheesy book, even though it's considered so highly. I was like, this is just going to be a cheesy book. And then the more I read, the more I got interested in the character, the more I got interested in the sub-characters. Like, I actually got very emotional with Jessie. I got very emotional with the child that I mentioned earlier. Like, there's also a discussion where birth control is actually everybody thing, considering what's going on in the world right now, or at least in the United States. Like, it's an everybody thing for birth control. Like, everybody is taught to regulate their body via temperature to prevent becoming pregnant, or prevent having a partner become pregnant, because of the way the world is. Like, if you are pregnant, pregnancy is not an accident, and if pregnancy is an accident, like, whoever did not self-regulate is considered less than, whether they be male or female. And like, it is heavily like, no, you have to, if you cannot control your body to the point where you don't have to worry about pregnancy, you are considered like less than, you were like a social pariah, which I found interesting, that it was an equal for both genders type of thing. And there is a lot of, as I mentioned, so there's a lot of like pseudobiology or pseudoscience in here that had to do with genetics, and had to do with like how you create medications, like with how they're, like, she's trying to explain how the snakes are able to change stuff into medicine for these people. It's just really cool. The prose is really strong. There's also a point in which Snake is being pursued by someone who is called a crazies. There are crazies out in the world, and I'm trying not, I can't really say why there are crazies out in the world without giving away something that I thought was just astounding in the book. But there are crazies out in the world, and Snake ends up being pursued by a crazy for which she doesn't know why, but it does very much have to do with the ending, and the ending was, it was nice. It was surprising. Like, the last third of the book was just a whirlwind of what the heck is going on. It was just like the journey that Vonda McIntyre is able to take you on in this book, from like what feels like in the first chapter is going to be a bad B movie to this just complete, it's not even a 180. It's like a full Tony Hawk 900 type of a whirlwind of a trick that is this book. And I this edition, which is the 1982 Dell printing, and apparently this particular cover is the most desirable. I love this book so much, as I did with Babel 17, that I immediately went and bought a hardcover, because I feel like I need to reread this more than one time. This edition right here will go up in my Etsy store. I'm going to do Etsy instead of eBay this time. So if you're interested in getting what is considered the good cover, and not what the original first edition and the book club edition look like, this is considered the good cover, which, given the two, which I will put here, this one does look better. I did go ahead and buy the book club edition because it looks just like the first edition, and I can't really find the first edition anywhere because this book is so coveted. But I gave that immediately to my mom to read because I thought that she too would enjoy this book, and I'm excitedly awaiting for her take on this. I thought that it would be a lovely discussion to have with my mom because I thought she would like this. So if it is so good that I gave it to my mom to read, that I bought the hardcover and I gave it to my mom to read, I think that's a good recommendation, that if you have not read this book, I would please entreat you to move it up in your TBR, because this was amazing. This was quite amazing. So I hope this made you guys want to get this. If this has sold in my Etsy store by the time you see this video, I will put another link to Amazon where you can get it there, or you can hopefully you find a vintage copy for yourself, because I actually found this for like I think, was it like $1.50 or something at a secondhand shop. So hopefully I will wish that luck upon you if you did not want to buy it below. But until I see you guys next week for another video, until then, bye. Bye.